All right. What's good, everybody? It's your boy Champagne Chico. But today I kind of wanted to do something different in a way. Well, starting off with not breaking my mic. Hello? Oh, wow. I did not know it does that. Um, well, that just doesn't look right. So, what I wanted to do today was talk about the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat, I don't know why they got that name, to be honest with you. I don't know why I have this shit on. But the Miami Heat are an interesting team. As you can see, there's the roster. Bam, Jimmy, Dwayne Dedman, Marcus Garrett, Kyle Guy, Udonis, Tyler Hero, Kyle Lowry, Haywood Highsmith, Caleb Martin. Like, it's not a bad team. Also, that is last year's roster, now that I read it out loud. But it wasn't... Last year was definitely not a bad team. Last year was not a bad team at all. It's just the way that we went about things. So, with last year, the reason why we lost was because of size. Pat Riley has this thing. I love Pat Riley. Don't get me wrong. I respect his history. I respect everything about him. Hold on. I respect everything about him. But the issue with Pat is that he's very stubborn, it seems. And he thinks that Bam Adebayo is tall enough to be able to handle 7'3" guys like Joel Embiid. Now, he holds his own. But not to the level of what he's expecting him to, or not to the level of what he talks about. So, with Pat Riley, we have so many opportunities to get these players and to get, like, Miles Turner, right? He was at a low price last season, and we never executed that. And we just had to deal with Bam Adebayo being the center, and he is, I'm pretty sure he's like 6'9", if I'm not mistaken. 6'9", 255 pounds. He's big for a 6'9" guy. But that was the issue. The whole playoffs, if we would have faced the Bucks, we would have got smacked. As much as I'm a Miami hopeful and everything, we would have got smacked because he would be defending Giannis. Who would be defending Brook Lopez? Brook Lopez would be open at the three-point line every time that we faced him. Every single time, because they would switch. He would just shoot it over the small guy and make it in. So that's a big issue of ours. Another issue of ours this year is contracts. Y'all already know who I am going to talk about, and that is Duncan Robinson. I loved Duncan Robinson at one point, right? He was a great shooter. He was highly underrated for a while. They weren't talking about him. They were just like ignoring him like they do the Heat most of the time. They talk about us when we're just doing when we're playing like crap. But now we paid him the $18 million a year. He's like set for like four years. What's his contract right now? I don't think I'll be able to see it on here. But I think it's around like $18 million for 4 years, right? If we look at his stats for this year, he has 5.9 points per game. Now, a given is that he rides the bench most of the time because Max Strus is shooting the ball well. He shoots the ball at 30% from the three-point line. To compare, the year that we decided to give him the contract was 2020-2021. He shot 40% from the field. Not bad at all. The year before, he shot 44.6% from the field. And then he just went on a decline. What happened? Like, what happened to him? Like, I know that some players, like, they get that whole, like, underrated dog, like, motivation, and then they just shit the bed for the rest of their careers. And that seems to be the issue with Duncan now. We had to bench him for the playoffs, and he was supposed to be a key shooter in the playoffs. We had to rely on only Max Strus, and then that ended up screwing us because we would face the Celtics, who was a very good shooting team and a very good rebounding team last year too, and they would screw us. They blew us out half of the games. Jimmy Butler literally had to turn back into bubble Jimmy Butler. I was expecting that to happen, but we would still lose the games that he would be carrying. We went to, wasn't it game 7? We went to 7 games with the Celtics. I'm almost certain that we went to 7 games with the Celtics. And Jimmy had like a 49, 48 point game. Hold on, let me find it. Previous season. NBA 20. Yeah, we lost to the Celtics in 7 games. And that was with us playing like shit. Like, we did not play well at all. Game 1, Jimmy had 41. Game 2, Jimmy had 29. He probably didn't have as much as Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum because they decided to go off these games. Game 6, Jimmy Butler had 47. If I'm not mistaken, he had 9 rebounds and 8 assists. In Game 7, he had 35 points, and we were a shot away from making it to the finals. We were the number 1 seed. This was not a fluke, but now sports media and all these social media gurus that they think that they know everything about basketball want to talk about, oh, the Heat were a fluke. They didn't do anything. Well, we didn't do anything in the offseason. But we were expecting that Caleb Martin would fill in the role for PJ Tucker. Now, obviously, PJ Tucker is just PJ Tucker. Like, he's an insane rebounder. He's great at that. He has a solid 3-point shot in terms of the corner. Anywhere else, you can almost say goodbye, and it's going to be a missed shot. But PJ Tucker was keeping us afloat most of the season. That's what a lot of people forget, too. So PJ Tucker had a big impact for us that entire season, and that's why he was so gassed getting into the playoffs. He still shot 40% from 3 and 38% from the field. Now, most of those shots from the field is like floaters and then the 3-point line. Caleb Martin had his little showing. Like, it was only Jimmy Butler. Bam was shooting 64% from the free throw line and 60% from the field. He is a center. That's not good. The minimum is like 67 maybe. Like, if he's taking some like out of line, like mid-range shots sometimes, like, it's never supposed to be like that, right? And now we're at a point in this season that we are not even in the play-in. The reason for that, if I can go to the damn team, here we go. The reason for that, we are 12 and 15. We actually are barely in the play-in, right? The reason for that is that we lost PJ Tucker. That was a given. We kind of expected it if he declined the player option, but not to the extent that he did it. But as PJ Tucker, Jimmy Butler already said his 2 cents about him. Like, I guess he was fucking around or whatever. I don't know if he was actually being for real, that he's fake as fuck, but it kind of is. So with PJ, when we lost him, we were expecting that we were going to go and get somebody else, right? We ended up not doing a damn thing. We ended up not doing anything in free agency, and we just drafted a power forward who is 6'10", who is actually taller. He is actually taller than Bam. And we're running him at the 4 and Bam at the 5. Max Strus still doing solid. He has his games that he just doesn't play well at all. Jimmy Butler is Jimmy Butler. That's a given. People want to rate him outside of the top 10. I mean, I would give you like maybe 11 if you're going to rate him outside the top 10, but he's not far out. He just gets he sits out regular season games sometimes for like minor injuries so that it doesn't weigh on the playoffs where he comes in, which is another issue that we have. The Miami Heat is full of issues that could be solved. I love my team. I love the Miami Heat, but we are not perfect at all. We are not perfect in the slightest. Tyler Hero, we paid him almost a max contract. In my honest opinion, I still think we should have traded him for Donovan Mitchell. But from the reports that I see, we had to trade Bam in order to get Donovan Mitchell, which that's why the Utah Jazz said that, because that wasn't going to happen. Danny Ainge has like a specific beef with the Miami Heat that he's not going to make a trade with us. So, and then he sent him to Cleveland for pocket change. So it doesn't look good this year. I was expecting like Jamal Cain to get more minutes in some games, and Nikola Jovic too. Like, I was expecting those two to get more just because of injuries. So Bam is out some games. Jimmy's out some games. Those two fill in those positions. Now, then we run a small ball lineup, and it ends up screwing us. With Jamal Cain, he had a lot of bright spots in the preseason. He had a lot of bright spots at the beginning of the season. Nikola Jovic, everybody's expecting him to be like the next Nikola Jovic or Jokic. Like, he can be great, but his value is at a peak. He's at a peak right now. And I would rather gamble on trading him for somebody that's good right now with the roster that we have, because the whole reason why we brought in Jimmy Butler was for him to win a championship with the Miami Heat. Every time they win a game and they ask him, oh, what does this win do for you? Like, what does this win do for you in terms of like what you see in the future? He says, winning a championship. And then we proceed to lose 5 games in a row. We went on a winning streak. Like, we just lost to the San Antonio Spurs by 4 points. The San Antonio Spurs literally they lost like 12 of 13 games. They're not good. The San Antonio Spurs are not good. Greg Popovich is a great coach. He is a fantastic coach, but he knows what he's doing right now. He is tanking. He is tanking for the number 1 pick for Victor Wembanyama. At this point, we're about to be tanking because of us just losing these leads. We go up. If we look at the schedule, right, we can say a game that I remember that we blew a lead was, what game was it? I was watching one. We lost to the Wizards. It was this one. Box score. Let me see. Hold on. Oh, now I can do the math in my head. So we were up by 12 points going into the half, if my math is correct. We were up by 12 points. We lost a little 5-point lead. We were up by 7. That's cute, right? Then we proceed to only score 16 points in the fourth quarter, and they tie the game with a Kyle Kuzma 3. Kyle Kuzma is somebody that basically we're looking at right now to trade for. The Miami Heat are looking for anybody to trade for. They're tired of... my assumption is that the front office is tired of this whole... is tired of this whole, depth, because then it screws us in these games. It screws us when the depth is not playing well. We had a game recently that the bench got like 4 points at the start of the fourth. What game was that? What game was that? It was the Pistons. It was the Pistons game. We lost by 20 points to the Detroit Pistons. They are not a good team. I mean, right now they're not a good team. They have some great players on their team. But compared to us at the level that we're supposed to be at right now, they are not a good team whatsoever. In the slightest. They beat us by 20 points. I'm almost certain. No, Jimmy didn't play this game. But this was a very, very winnable game at points. Tyler Hero got 34 points, which is what we paid him for. That's like, it's not like even like a crazy, oh, Tyler Hero got this much points. Like, no, we paid him almost a max contract. We couldn't have paid him more. We should have traded him, in my eyes. I love Tyler, but he's at his peak right now. Like, he's not, prove me wrong, but he's not going to get to like Jimmy Butler level, right? He can shoot the ball as crazy as he shoots it and impress the fuck out of everybody with the crazy shots that he takes, but he's not getting to that upper echelon like I think that Bam Adebayo can. Because Bam is still not at his full potential. He's getting there this season because he's actually shooting the ball. He's actually being aggressive. He's getting the rebounds. He's doing what he needs to do, right? So, in terms of overall losses, we lose to teams that we should win against. For example, the first game of the season, we faced the Chicago Bulls. Now, they were on fire. Chicago was on fire from all cylinders of the court. DeMar DeRozan was not missing a mid-range shot. He was getting all the fouls on the mid-range shots. And that's who DeMar DeRozan is. But then they went on a whole plateau and just started losing. If I'm not mistaken, they're below us. The Chicago Bulls are below us, which... That whole trade scenario is a whole other thing that I can get into. But then we lose to the Boston Celtics by 3. Or not by 3, my dumbass. By 7. We were expecting that. Boston is a very well-rounded team that has a lot of depth, like legitimate depth. They got Malcolm Brogdon in the offseason, who is usually a starter on most teams, but he's riding the bench for them. We won against the Toronto Raptors. That was a good game. We still had a lot of hiccups. Then we lost to them the next time by 8. We beat the Portland Trail Blazers by 21. We lost to the Golden State Warriors. If I'm not mistaken, that was a game that we, without a doubt, should have won. I think that was one that I had to turn off because it was just, I couldn't watch it anymore. We lost by 3. Not even. We lost by 13. I keep getting my math wrong. We lost against the Sacramento Kings. Let me just name off the teams that we shouldn't have lost to. The Sacramento Kings, the Indiana Pacers, the Blazers, the Wizards, I'll give the Cavs, the Timberwolves. We seem to always lose to the Timberwolves. I went to a Miami Heat versus Timberwolves game thinking that it was a guaranteed W. Guaranteed. Not in a way that it was like blowout, but just in a way that it was like, oh, this is going to be a good game, but we're going to end up winning. We lost. by a tremendous amount. And it was painful to watch. We lost against the Celtics by 13. Can't really do much about that. We won against the Celtics in overtime. We almost lost that game because of a lucky-ass Jaylen Brown shot. He literally heaved it up. Jimmy Butler was like this. Hands up, all up on him and everything. He heaved it up, banked it off the backboard, and made it in. Shouldn't have gone into overtime, went into overtime. Jimmy Butler is Jimmy Butler, and he became clutch Jimmy Butler again. Then we proceed to lose to the Memphis Grizzlies. No Ja Morant. Let me make sure that I got my stuff right. No Ja Morant. No Jaren Jackson Jr. Their 2-star players were not there. And their whole starter lineup decided that they were going to show up. Tyus Jones, he was great coming out of college. He was fantastic coming out of college. He was expected to be like this great 6-man and whatever. He hasn't been what people expected him to be. But in some games with the Memphis Grizzlies, he does this. And we have this thing in like the Miami Heat community that we call the Miami Heat killers. That there's certain players that literally only have their good games against us. For example, Tyus Jones, Buddy Hield, Terrence Ross. 3 players that have always been an issue for us for some reason, that they just decide to go insane. Gary Trent Jr., another one. He just decides to be Steph Curry in 2016 in every game that he plays against us. He cannot miss a 3-point shot no matter how contested it is. And now we lose to the San Antonio Spurs. The only way the season can turn around is if out of nowhere we make a trade for somebody monumental. Absolutely insane. Not even that. For a center. Somebody 7 foot plus, so Bam can actually play the position that he's comfortable with. You can see when he's uncomfortable playing center. He's built for the position, but not all the time. He needs another big man with him. Eric Spoelstra, you keep switching out players. For what reason? I'm a huge fan of Eric Spoelstra. I've always loved him, but this season he has made so many questionable calls. It is ridiculous to watch. I'm almost to a point that I just stop watching. Like, I just watch whatever I can, and if I can't handle it, I just dip out. Like, I turn it off. We face the Indiana Pacers tomorrow. Well, today, now, at 7 o'clock at Indiana. If I'm going to guess this correctly, we're probably going to lose by maybe like 7 again. Because Buddy Hield decides to have good games against us. Not only Buddy Hield, but they have a rookie that I liked coming out of college from Arizona. I don't want to try to pronounce his name because I don't want to butcher it. It starts with an M. Mathurin? I don't know if I butchered it. He's a killer, right? The Thunder. If we lose to the Oklahoma City Thunder, we just got to pack it up. Pack it up. Get it done. It's over. Like, if we lose to the Oklahoma City Thunder, we have lost to every single bad team in the league. Except for the Rockets, because we faced them after the Thunder. We had a schedule that was almost a guarantee that we were going to get a win streak, starting with the Spurs. After the Clippers, we beat the Clippers with Paul George. I think it was with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, if I'm not mistaken. No, it was just Paul George. But Paul George is still a great player. But we are supposed to win against the Spurs. Let me show you. We're supposed to win against the Spurs. We're supposed to win against the Pacers. We're supposed to win against the Thunder, the Rockets, the Spurs. Maybe not the Bulls. Maybe not the Bulls because we tend to choke against the Bulls. the Pacers again, the Timberwolves, and then the Lakers was going to be a good game. The Lakers have been showing up. Now, with that, we're already about 30 games in, and we're a bottom 5 team. I think it's time to make a miraculous trade. I think it's time for Pat Riley to actually put his chips on the table and go for somebody. Because I think we have our pick this year, if I'm not mistaken. I wouldn't trade this year's pick necessarily, because we could possibly make a trade to get the number 1 pick, hopefully. But Miami Heat first round picks. Future picks. 2023 Miami's own pick, subject to top 14 protections through 2025 and unprotected in 2026, traded to LA Clippers in Jimmy Butler trade on July 6, 2019. So, wait. So this was this year, right? This was this draft. No. This is the upcoming one. We own our pick. I wouldn't trade that one. The ones I would trade is everything after that. Everything that we can after that, pack it up, put some young pieces with it. Nikola Jovic, Tyler Hero, if you absolutely have to, and get somebody else. Get somebody that can make a difference on the team and not make Jimmy Butler just the one and only. Because Jimmy Butler can have his games. That's without a doubt. But he cannot do it all the time. I love Jimmy Butler. I love Jimmy Butler as a player and as a person. But he's not going to be doing it as frequently as what we need him to. Because it gets exhausting. He drives to the rim and he has to take his body shots, which is an issue because then he can possibly get injured, as he does. So, yeah, that's my quarter season rant, I guess you would call it. But this is a different type of video for me on this channel. Let me know if you like it. Let me know if you want more of this, maybe every quarter of the season or after every Miami Heat game, and I just give a recap, like KOT4Q, about the Bulls. But I'm just going to be more centric on the Miami Heat because I only watched the Miami Heat game. I can't do the whole multiple thing unless it's football. But yeah, I'll see you in the next video.